Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the AI Boardroom. And with me again, my wonderful co-host Svetlana. Tell us about
Hello.
today's topic.
Yeah, today we wanted to talk about how ChatGPT and some of the recent releases that OpenAI had announced in the last couple of weeks, and how that is redefining the human to AI interaction. And what does that mean to you, business owners, and just I'd say, we'll
Maybe
even
everyone out
cover.
there. Maybe everyone out there, but mostly you business owners.
Yeah, and I think that some important topics will go into like the practical all the way to conceptual. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing more, stick around. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just try to introduce this today's topic a bit by just trying to talk about what ways of communication are there. Also a bit what my experience of different interactions with AI are, because some of them are cool on paper, are cool in demos, not that cool in practice. Which a lot of it comes down to what people are used to. And for me, I have an AI solution which is basically a chatbot. There's a bit something with images, but it's still a chatbot. I am totally capable for some time now to do voice and to do real-time voice. And I didn't do it because people are not used to it. And even me, like I'm getting used to it, but even me, like I'm a digital native. I grew up with computers. I built my first computer. I was 10. Like I really dig the whole AI stuff, and still, like the chat interaction is like feeling the most natural to me, and I'm still hesitant talking to my AI in a conversational manner.
But is it because you've been burned by the technology that maybe wasn't capable enough for you to carry on the conversation?
Siri didn't help, to be honest.
But I think that's what's probably messing a lot of folks up and adopting, some of this voice technology because of Siri and these Alexa, Google Home and everything like that. They're not able to carry on the conversation.
Alexa is actually a good experience from day one. It's not perfect, but it's really fast. It's just activated.
You want to talk to me, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, just seeing the blue light in the corner of my eye. So yeah, that's the better experience. Also, Google Assistant is also a really usable experience for quite some time now. So it's mostly Apple that didn't update Siri since 2015 or something.
Yeah.
But rumors have it this year is the year. So yeah, looking forward.
Maybe they partner with OpenAI.
Oh, and I'm honestly, I'm really rooting for it because GPT-4o integrated into iOS, deeply into iOS, on my phone. I would love that.
And everyone will have Scarlett Johansson talking back to them,
or not.
Or not. Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see how the judge decides. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I found that older people, like in their 50s, even 60s, oftentimes they don't use the keyboard as much because they are not as fast in typing, and they use voice to type a lot. Wait a second. Keep going.
Was that about a sneeze coming on? But I think that's a good point with depends on people's maturity, as you mentioned. Like, have they grown up with this technology and what their comfort level is? But I would argue that we shouldn't be building technology for the people today because it's the technology who's going to be most used by is millennials and probably the upcoming generations who were born into the technology. So they're much more likely to, like my kids are growing up with Alexa. We have both Alexa and Google Home, and they go and mind you, they don't speak English. They still try to they learn English with Alexa and Google Home because they are motivated to conversate with her. Like if they want something to get done, they go and they learn whatever task that needs to be completed. So there's, I think, an emotional, not emotional, but there's a need and people will go out of their way to, like in my kids' case, actually learn the language to be able to take advantage of the system. So again, I think always designing for people that, of today is probably not the best mentality, but I do think that over time voice will
but you,
become
you,
a
but,
much more
but the people of today
native
are
experience.
the people today are most of the people, so you cannot ignore them.
That's true.
So,
That's true. That's a good point.
and you have to, like, it's not that it's the majority, it's not the minority.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm with you. You have to keep in mind that there will be a new skill set that is needed for the future of technology. Always has been like that. But still, we have to at least show people a path to easily get on the train and to not jump on the running thing. Like, um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, one thing that I think also is an issue is the whole notion of it being clunky and kind of like, yeah, not really responsive, not really natural.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, where the latest updates of Google and OpenAI and Microsoft and everyone came in, like multimodality and also small models that are like can be executed on your device. All of that gives you a new frame, a new canvas, basically to work on. And this canvas is latency free. It gets your emotions. It is really really starting to become helpful by quite a margin. And that's what's getting up to us. And to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit disappointed. I'm still not able to use the new voice experience of ChatGPT because I'm really looking forward to it. Because yeah, um, it
And
got
I
it,
think the
it
one
got
that
my
you missed is
attention.
actually starting to exhibit emotions too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, right.
personality and things like
Yeah,
that. So it's two
and
sided. So it
stuff
not
that
only
fits
interprets. Yeah.
also, right? So, yeah. There's this last week was Microsoft's Build
Mm-hmm.
conference, which is Microsoft Developer Conference, and they showed a demo of GPT-4o integration into Windows or into
Mm-hmm.
Copilot for that matter. And they had a screen share running, and
Mm-hmm.
the AI was watching the screen basically, and they were playing Minecraft, and it gave live updates on the Minecraft game. And then he in the game he turned around and said, "Oh, what's that?" And then the AI was like with a like urgency, a lot of urgency, was, "Hey, it's a zombie. Go away. Find something to hide, a shelter, something." And it gave it like really actual usable advice in an urgent tone, which was
Oh, that's pretty
and
cool.
also the latency, which was ridiculous. Like really, it wasn't sped up. It was kind of a live recording. Um, Interesting, really interesting. So that it also opens up so many new use cases. And um, to be honest, like I'm pretty sure AI is better in customer service pretty quickly than most of the customer service people are, just in terms of always being polite, never being in a bad mood, always having all the answers that are available.
Yeah, and
So
you only need
yeah,
one ChatGPT 4.0 model, then 20,
yeah,
agents being
yeah,
live because it's available 24/7.
yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
think that,
a huge opportunity, and yeah, I find myself like more and more rooting for companies to add AI to their service like customer communications, because
mm-hmm.
honestly, like I know the information I want is really mundane, but I need it. Why can't an AI explain it to me? Like, just go ahead, like launch the stuff. Honestly,
And I
um,
think with even like my experience calling agents, like the one thing that I hate doing, and if I can figure it out on my own,
oh yeah,
I would always, go through the website and try to find the answer, Control F, if there's no agent, like, chatbot available. I dread calling the 1-800 number because I'm like, oh, and it's going to ask me 500 times to like press these
Yeah,
buttons,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's going to send me
If you
to
want the
a
reception, press 1. If you want the
like, I
reception in
don't know,
English,
just
press 2. If you want the reception in Dutch, press 3.
it's just ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just have such bad experiences that I think if your experience was call the 1-800 number and you immediately talk to someone who
Yeah.
doesn't care what prompts you ask, like it's going to handle all of your
Honestly, yeah.
numbers and select. I mean, that's huge, I think,
Yeah.
for folks. But
Yeah, like I said, I'm rooting for that. Yeah.
one of the other use cases that I think I'm really excited about, which is like outside of customer service, but like any products and services, whether it's like an Alexa type of speaker or like
Hmm.
a personal robot, whatever have you, being embedded with these AIs, because we're talking about like, this human to AI interaction, or elder population, because a lot of them are
Yeah.
aging in their homes
Yeah,
and
definitely.
they are by themselves oftentimes, and they don't see a lot of people kind of in their day to day,
Yeah.
and they've started to adopt these like robotic pets that of course don't talk. Sometimes I've worked on some products that actually, this is true, and we've done some research on this, that they talk to Alexa as if it was a person because they
Yeah.
had very minimal interaction. How
Yeah.
cool would it be if they had access to this ChatGPT 4.0 Omni,
Yeah.
version like Sky? They would carry on like a full conversation. Like,
Definitely. I would
uh,
too. Yeah, like oftentimes I'm lately, like the last years, I'm not really good at following through on my personal goals, like eating behavior, stuff like that. And like just like having the AI know that and just talk to it about that, just to get some reflection on my own thoughts, I think that could be hugely valuable.
and now that it has video, it can be like, Edgar, put that cake
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Don't go to that restaurant. You know you don't want Burger King.
We both know
or,
what you're
or,
going to
or,
order.
or put in random fast food name here. Yeah.
No, accountability, I think, is going to be also huge
Yeah.
because it can have that longer term memory to understand your goals and then
Yeah.
have like track your progress towards them. So I think that the use cases and the possibilities, like you can integrate that into an app
Yeah.
and have the LLM kind of run the tracking with the voice and kind of like this personality that,
Yeah.
again, you rely on. You don't need a coach. You don't need like an accountability partner when you have access to a powerful tool like
Yeah.
this.
And then he takes you ransom with your browser history. Yeah.
Yeah.
But first, I would love to take like a small step back. GPT-4o is
Hmm.
the new model of OpenAI. For you that didn't know, your ChatGPT got a lot better lately. That's because of the new model.
Hmm.
The GPT-4o model is not released to its full capabilities as of now, but will be in the upcoming weeks, as far like at least as they say. And O stands for Omni, and Omni meaning multi-channel or multimodality. And what is multimodality in the first place? So right now, chat with AI was mostly like I type in text and it gives me text back. It's a large language model in the end, so yeah, of course, like it's trained on a lot of text data. Multimodal models are able to not only read text but
Hmm.
also stuff like images, or in the case of GPT-4o, also audio natively. Because right now you could also like in the old version you could talk, you could talk to ChatGPT and you could get an talking answer back. But this was basically taking your voice, running
Hmm.
through another model, making text from the voice, putting it into the inference, like the text to text,
Hmm.
giving text back. This text is then synthesized back with the voice to give you like the voice answer, the audio answer. Now you give audio in, it gives audio out. And it gives video in, it gives audio out. And that's also the beauty of it. Like if it's multimodal, you can like switch between modalities basically. And yeah, that's a huge leap. What it gives you is recognition of like speaker recognition, recognize that there are different people speaking. Gives us the ability to interrupt, which was shown a lot in the ChatGPT or GPT-4o demos.
Mhm.
Give the AI the option to get the information in between the content, which is your tone, do you speak in a loud voice, are you anxious, whatever, like it gets the feeling, the like non-spoken part of the audio. And that's yeah, I think that's hugely valuable to get even better applications that also have a low latency, because you don't have to do all the transformation steps and the answer comes quickly. And that's what we also seen in the demo of GPT-4o.
I think with one other benefit that I'm surprised you aren't speaking of, because I think out of the two, where you're the more technical of us. But if you think about historically, if this multimodal version did not exist, you would be integrating, in order to support that type of an experience, you would have multiple AI
Yeah,
capabilities that would be a spaghetti of an architecture kind of
yeah,
behind the scenes, in order to kind of again support that same experience. Now you
a
have
lot of
to
failure
have
points. Yeah,
one
yeah,
one system. You basically select, and now you're going to have choices. I think now we have Astra from Google, we have OpenAI, but I'm sure there's going to be competitors emerging in the market. But the users of this are the ones benefit. So
yeah,
you'll have choices, so you don't have to think about, well, what model and how am I going to architect this and stuff like that. You kind of have to think about, like, which model am I going to insert? What are some use cases? Like,
yeah,
what is the experience that I want to support? And some of these tools are already available to you, and they're pretty easy to plug and play from proof of concept. I think Edgar can speak much more at length as to, like, operationalizing this tool is probably like more 90% of the effort of actually bringing it into production. But most of it, like, is very streamlined, because you're only needing to rely on one model in order to support that customer kind of like
yeah.
end-to-end experience. And I think that's really powerful.
And the more capable the model is, and the more it understands just
Mm-hmm.
from the get-go, the easier it is for you to just prepare the right context. And also you have more context from the same data if you want to. So
Mm-hmm.
because you had audio, you had the audio signal before, but you could only take the text from it, you couldn't take emotions from it without, like, there was also there's I think Hume AI, they're pretty
Mm-hmm.
huge in recognizing emotions from any modality basically.
Mm-hmm.
um, and you could also like take into consideration that, but you would only build text from that, and also and then get the answer out as text, which then has to be translated. So yeah, and of course, the less moving parts you have, the better. Always was like that. Always will be. So yeah, having a one model which can do it all gives you the ability to do more with what you have already,
Yes.
and generally like have use cases that they haven't even dreamed of.
And there has been a lot of discussion, which I think you're really strong in, is agentic AI. And so, and following Google Next, there was like a huge, talk, and I think the word agentic AI has been trending ever since. They even released, like, use cases that these companies, their customers are using, Google's technology and some of the models they make available through their cloud technology. But I think, none of the use cases actually came close to what the potential with the 4.0 is going to enable you with agentic AI. Yeah, what do you think the 4.0 will enable us to do more of, from a perspective of productivity, and how kind of you envision maybe even businesses using it, maybe internally even? Like, is
Mm.
that an option? What are your thoughts?
So sorry. So generally speaking, that's a really good question, because one thing that GPT-4o is worse than the model before is reasoning.
Hmm.
And reasoning capabilities are hugely important for agentic behavior because the model has to decide based on reason
Hmm.
what to do with the given information and how to plan out and stuff like that. So the worse your model is in reasoning, the worse it will perform on agentic tasks, and the performance, like if you go even a little bit beyond easiest task, will give you poor results as of now.
Hmm.
That said, the having a better zero shot performance, which definitely is the case in this GPT-4o model, because of course you can hand over the same data, like I said, the same audio file you had before, but it just gets you a better zero shot result. that's that's hugely useful because then you have to do less calls to the AI, which if you build any application, of course, will help you. The AI itself gets faster. The result, you get a faster result because yeah, like you have only to do it once, but
Hmm.
then it goes back to the reasoning part. Um, it might fail on like executing the tasks and sticking with the plan, because it hallucinates somewhere along the way, and then errors compound and it breaks or influences the outcome in a bad way. So yeah, like from a application building perspective, you definitely have more options. And honestly, I'm really like I close to every day look up if there's any news on when actually the API will allow me to send audio and get audio back. Because yeah, the applications are really huge if you can combine it with image
Hmm.
generation, which also will be a part of that multimodality, because you don't need DALI 3 for image generation because the model
Hmm.
itself can do it. Um, so right now you would say, ChatGPT, give me a prompt for that, and then you would take that prompt and put it into Midjourney and get the image. Now you just get out what you want and get the image back from the same model. Yeah, and all that is really hugely beneficial if you want to build applications, because I told it a lot in the past episodes. Tell it
Hmm.
a lot on LinkedIn. It's all about context.
Yeah.
And the better you can use your context and the better you understand your context, the better the result is. In
And the better
terms
you
of,
can automate the tasks, I'm assuming. So is that kind
yeah,
of where you're leading? Yep.
yeah. And more tasks, because I spoke to a company which is doing real time voice on a telephone already, like already as of now,
Hmm.
before GPT-4 and everything. And they have to add stuff like ums and keyboard typing to just bridge the time the inference takes.
Yep.
They got it pretty low. I give them that, but it's not instant. So it's not like a real conversation. Um, and these applications might have been possible already, but they get really humanized basically
Yeah.
with this new release.
And I think that's that's really interesting because I think with we talk about like the lines blurring ultimately between the humans and AI because we're adding these things that even I mean production of podcasts, videos that you watch on YouTube, like that's
Yeah,
ultimately what there's systems that are developed to remove the ums and the ifs because like that's just our normal
yeah,
tendency to like speak that way, or like my tendency is always to start like with so
yeah,
you have these
yeah,
additional these additional keywords that you're not keywords but words that you add in your normal conversations that we're now adding to AI for it to sound more human like, which I think interesting. Or as you mentioned, like typing behind the scenes, because again, these are the things that we hear. So at some point, and we even started to experience this with. There's been a lot of discussions with character AI.
yeah,
Now people starting to form bonds with these avatars that people are creating because they've created and they chat with them. Like just think about the potential of having a voice, kind of AI agent basically speaking to you
yeah,
with all of these additional kind of more human like interactions. I think, I mean, we're probably going to hear more on this once the AI system is released, but I do anticipate that people are going to start forming bonds with this AI,
Yeah,
as I mentioned, like people who are
definitely. Yeah.
lonely, people who, maybe taking the system even to the extreme of developing a relationship with
And
with
and and, I,
with
and I
Sky.
and I'm already like thanking it basically. Uh,
Oh, you are.
yeah, but like this is so natural language that I kind of feel inclined to do what I'm like raised to, and that's being polite. Yeah, like um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird, but in the end, as it gets emotions now,
Oh
maybe I
yeah. You
should.
better
But yeah,
thank Sky
better things, Kai. Yeah.
before you
um,
leave.
but yeah, like you said, the line gets pretty blurry. I'm already at a point where I would love to just speak to an AI because oftentimes humans don't do a good job with random situations if they're not highly skilled to deal with them.
But if you think about also like there's research and I actually wrote like an article, I have a blog post on humanizing AI. Um, I think it's interesting that people develop a form of bond and they actually trust it because one of the things why kind of going to a therapist, like there's not as many people going to therapists because they're like, oh, what is this? What if I say something and then people are going to think badly of me, or I don't want to disclose this because it's going to end up, I don't know, and they're going to form like the wrong picture of why my motivations were such. But now you have AI.
Mm.
So what if you taught it to be like not judgmental, or like I could truly be open to this agent? I mean, to with some caveats that like my information will
Yeah,
not be shared and it'll be anonymous, but like you could truly use this for like therapies and being a psychologist because it could recommend some of the same principles that these therapists, again, like people are going to hate me for saying this, but like some of the things that maybe on like mild cases like the day-to-day therapy just to keep your kind of mind flowing or inspired, there's certain things that I think AI could be delegated to do, and then there's
yeah,
certain things where you are going to need more hands-on like therapy, deep dive sessions that AI cannot handle. But I think that you're going to get, it's an opportunity, I think, for people to have this bond, to be more open, which
yeah.
they otherwise would not either seek help or would not even have anyone else to talk to and kind of voice out their concerns or get help. So,
Yeah. Yeah, to be completely honest, I was with the current AI voice integration with ChatGPT already at a point where sometimes I drive home, like I have a thought, I wasn't able to do it on my notebook, and on the way home, I just used the speech like the microphone system in my car and
mhm,
and I talked to it and I tried to conversate properly. And now I can also interrupt it if I have the feeling it misunderstood me without pressing any buttons whatsoever
mhm,
and being able to edit. One thing also ChatGPT related is it uses it or like they added memory across different conversations if
mhm,
you want to. And this is also hugely helpful because it starts building up like a knowledge base about you and what you talked about and stuff like that. And that's where it gets me excited. Also, Microsoft did this recall function in Windows, which we will talk about in, at another episode, I guess. But
mhm.
AI needs context to really feel like a personal assistant. It needs to know you. It needs to know what you do, and the more it knows, the more you're exposed, of course, but the more it can help you. Because otherwise, if it doesn't know what I'm talking about most of the time, how should it help me, right? Yeah,
And I think it's only fair, right? So if I, I was thinking about this the other day. So if you go out of the blue without signing in and without AI, OpenAI even knowing your context, you're just going to prompt the system to be like, "Hey, what color should I choose between this dress and this dress?" And you upload like a picture of the dress. How should it
yeah, of
know how to
course.
answer? It's just going to be like an arbitrary choice, which is
Yeah,
similarly like you walking up to a stranger without that person like understanding who you are, what you stand for, what your preferences are. You're just going to be like, "Hey, what dress can I choose?" it's going to basically, that person is going to rely on their own experience and they're going to provide their preferences. In this case, large language models just give you the average tendency. So it's like they just rely on kind of its knowledge base to give you the recommendations.
Yeah.
So if you want a much more personalized output, you kind of have to, like, similarly to the stranger, to like give them at least a little bit of your life story and like your preferences in order for them to have a contextual feedback, something that's helpful to you. So I do
Yeah.
think that providing that context, whether it's with system prompting or whatever have you, or through this kind of conversational history, you're truly building this context about what your preferences are, what you stand behind, and like what kind of questions you tend to like gravitate towards, and or how you're following up on like fine tuning the responses, or maybe iterating on the responses. So it's learning some of these things, and that's kind of the power of AI, to be able to do that like infinitely, and to be able to kind of handle it for different people. But that's kind of the power of personalization. But you
Yeah.
have to provide that context in order, if you want a much more accurate response that will make you happy. So in a way, I think that's like a fair ask.
And also to all the business leaders out there, or like project leaders for AI projects, same for you. Like the more information you gather, the more information you also curate, or let it curate, let it be curated by the AI. Like if you want to know how this works, like feel free to ask, because if AI is building up memory, it can structure it in a way where it can be recalled easily, and also be already prepared to be recalled better than if it would be the plain text. And also stuff like context gives you the option to rephrase a question. So you have a context which might be only your chat history from the actual chat, or like the current chat, and then you go ahead and then you get a new question, like you were talking about the dresses, like and then your next question would be like, and what about a scarf, for example?
Yeah.
And then AI goes ahead, looks at your history, and then it can rephrase the question. It's like, what scarf would be good for a dress which is in that or that color, for example, right? And then it rephrases the question for itself before it does the actual inference. And that's how you can technically solve or like make context and more context usable by looking at what's getting in, looking at what is around it, and just rephrase what is in there to get a more precise answer. And that's how you get rid of hallucinations. That's how you get rid of false informations. That's how you get proper grounding for your information to be really accurate. It's not perfect by any means, and you need a lot of tuning to get this dialed in and right, but it's hugely helpful.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, if you enjoy this episode, would love for us to dive into any particular agents. So I know that we covered about, ChatGPT, we focused on 4.0 and kind of the multimodality that it now offers. But if you want us to kind of talk to you about maybe a specific use case around sales, marketing, and kind of lay out the groundwork, maybe with some tangible use cases, happy to do it. As we always say, we want to grow with you and we want to deliver content that you find useful. So let us know in the comments if there's a particular topic you'd like for us to do a deep dive on. But
also,
don't forget to subscribe.
If you want us to do this live on stream in a session where you can ask live questions, just let us know down in the comments. And that's it for today, I would say.
Yeah. Well, don't forget to subscribe again, as I mentioned, like this video, and I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.